Let's go on. Let's continue. Man, the frame rate just cannot handle this place. The confluence. It would seem the old methods are simply not productive anymore. Research in teleportation magic is difficult in that it requires an abundance of space, which in turn requires an abundance of funding. Thankfully, we can use this public facility free of charge. I am researching the Far East Stenkonto. Here's a bit of trivia for you. It is made of timber. Is that not absolutely fascinating? My, what a mysterious and exotic land such a place must be. The study of teleportation requires a firm grasp of the fundamentals of either, so I make it a point to study the papers of those who have come before me. I'm currently studying a treatise written by Ejika Tsunjika, truly a luminary of his field. Well now, this is rather a lot of stern faces. Are my library books overdue again? Not to our knowledge. We're associates of Kryl of the students of Valdesian. We seek passage to Thavnair and understand that you can assist us. Ah, the test subjects. Welcome, welcome. Test subjects. Oh, you hadn't heard? Well then, allow me to explain. So, in order to travel to an aetheryte, you ordinarily need to be attuned to it beforehand. Otherwise, you can't use it as a beacon to seek out because while you're a mess of ether hurtling along the live stream. An inconvenient but incontrovertible limitation of aetheryte teleportation. But what if I were to tell you that there is a way to travel to an aetheryte without being attuned to it? A way to teleport instantly to places you have never been? For long years, we have labored to make such travel possible, that people might move about more freely. And we have finally done it. We have created a new kind of aetheryte that doesn't require attunement. Truly, that changes everything. Well, my language may have been a bit misleading. The user need not attune to these aetherites, but the aetherites themselves must have been pre-attuned to each other, thereby facilitating travel between the 2 points. But it just so happens that of our first test pair of aetherites, one has been installed here in Sharlayan and the other over in Yedlihmad, a port town in Thavnair. As you may know, our nation has long maintained strong ties with Radz-at-han, and indeed, we owe much of this breakthrough to the contributions of their alchemists. So to sum up, we are to test these aetherites. How fortuitous. For you. I should mention that an accident has impaired my ability to channel ether. Will this be a problem? Not at all. As a matter of fact, you might say these aetherites were made for people like your good self. The magics imbued within will whisk you away without any effort on your part. A veritable dream come true. And far be it from me to worry about such things, but do we have permission to make use of shiny new invention? The only permission required is yours, so assuming you're willing, we're all set. It may come as a surprise, but we actually struggle to find test subjects. No, it doesn't come as a surprise at all. Most people seem to have an unreasonable fear of their souls gradually disintegrating as they drift helplessly in the live stream, in the statistically unlikely event that something goes awry. But it's plain that you aren't most people, eh? Mistress Kryl truly knows how to pick 'em. Hey, I need that emote. If I may change the subject, are Master Wolfson and Mistress Blowwitter not present today? Oh, you didn't hear? They have recently resigned their posts. Their expertise was needed elsewhere. A large-scale project helmed by the forum itself, as I understand, but I'm not privy to the details. I see. Any other questions? No? Then let's get going before you change your minds. Please see to your preparations and head outside to the Aetherite Plaza. I'll be along shortly. Though words unsaid, yet weigh heavy on my heart, I shall devote mine all to our task in Thavnair. Given my experience with teleportation, I would be lying if I said I didn't have reservations, but I will trust in Kryl. I shall teleport the tried and trusted way. Good luck.
Right, we're all set. Just the 4 of you, was it?
3. I'm already attuned to the crystal in Thavnair.
You are? Oh, I would have preferred more test subjects. Oh, well, never mind. If our 3 travellers could line up here, please. Yes, right there is fine. Take a deep breath, and I'll soon have you soaring through the ether. Oh, and one last thing. You might experience a teensy-weensy touch of violent ethereal sickness. Good luck!
Right before we teleport.
What?
Thavnair, home to city-state Radz-at-han. Rising from the southeast waters of the Bounty, this Isle of Plenty served as the battleground for a conflict between 2 peoples. Their cultures bled into one another until a unique amalgamation was distilled from the chaos, in a process not unlike their precious alchemy. Once solidified as a single nation, an adamant stance of neutrality would hold invaders at bay. For a time. Now across this vibrant isle creeps a fog of malice. What choice do you have? What chance? Against such an insidious foe.
Oh, I love this game. Thavnair.
I've seen fairer faces after a bout of bad shellfish. Let me bring you something to drink. That should help settle your bellies.
There was a note with Kryl's instructions. Don't let a Stinian roam the markets. He's alarmingly bad with coin.
Too late. You managed to will yourself to your feet, but given your condition, will you be able to reach Estinian in time? Not stopping our champion. Now quickly find Estinian before he... Okay, let me attune to this thing. Ether sickness. Severe nausea is reducing movement speed. Okay, that's not bad. You there, I need 3 drinks. Something that helps with ether sickness. By the Manusha, a traveler. I mean greetings. Greetings and welcome. You are wise, good sir, to come to me. My special Amra lassi, made with only the finest and freshest ingredients, is famed for calming unruly bellies. By way of a warm welcome to Thavnair, I'm pleased to offer it to you for the low price of 19,800 gil. For not 1, not 2, but 3 bottles. A bargain amongst bargains. The price is high road robbery, and you want to say as much to Estinian, but you realize any words of warning you cry out would be accompanied by your last meal. You must stand before Estinian and using gestures deny that the deal is fair. I thought you could barely stand. What do you need to tell me that's so urgent? Wait, I shouldn't buy the lassie. This merchant is swindling me. Huh? Sincerest apologies, sir, but I appear to have my process confused. It's actually 1,890 gil for 3 bottles of lassie. That confusion would have been quite costly for both of us. Very well, then, your coin? Here, a bottle for each of you. Take them to the others and get some rest. I'll be back after I have explored the town. Made with only the finest and freshest ingredients, this Amra-flavored lassi is boasted to settle unruly stomachs. Praise be to the 12, my stomach doth loosen its death grip. My heartfelt thanks to Thea and Estinian, and to the fine fruits of this land. You were... in time? Excellent. You have spared us Tataru's wrath. Sweet, sweet release. If you haven't already, you should have yours too. Right. I'm ready to get on with it. That lassie truly worked wonders. Back on your feet, I see. Thy hair. I bound it. 'Tis the most I could do against this heat short of shedding my armor. May I ask where you got the cord for it? A local vendor. The man said it's a Thavnairian weave, though tough and not easily unraveled. And how much did it cost? Oh no. 9,400 gil. A steal. It is nothing fancy, but I've always valued function over form. That's incredible. I dare say not even Alfino could hold a candle to you. It's not uncommon for merchants to set their prices high, but doesn't it seem excessive here? Are all Hannish merchants unscrupulous? I expected the Sudrigum to put up more of a fight. I am inclined to agree with thine assessment. It doth seem excessive, unusually so. Claiming Thavnair as its dominion, the nation of Radz-at-han have long thrived as a hub of commerce. In the beginning, there were the Arkasodara, a Matanga tribe indigenous to this island. Over time, they came to be joined by other races, and through their intermingling, a culture rich and distinct did emerge. From alchemy to textiles, the products of Hannish culture have come to be celebrated and coveted the world over, a development only aided by the nation's prime location as a waypoint betwixt east and west. All of this hath combined to make a trading power of Radz-at-han, yet such a status cannot be taken for granted. Nay, it must needs be maintained through judicious governance and stringent regulation. neither of which I see any evidence, given that merchants at a gateway town are free to fleece hapless travelers and tarnish the reputation of the nation at large. Just so. That opportunistic pricing is rampant doth suggest that oversight is much weakened, or mayhap that the people have fallen upon hard times. Whatever the truth may be, 'twould be prudent to ascertain the current state of affairs. Prudent and practical, aye. We have not to lose by learning more. So, ere we seek out Kryle's acquaintance, shall we see what information we can gather here in Yedlihmad? Excellent. We didn't exactly get off to a flying start, but we'll make up for it. Be thou assured that I am quite recovered. Lassie is truly a boon for unruly stomachs. Right, let us split up and make inquiries in town. Sagasite, the pier is yours. Once we have learned what we can, we regroup by the Aetheryte, off-putting though the mere sight of it may be. Crate of fruit. The crate is laden with fruits, but they are on the verge of spoiling, as if they have been left too long. I like that little tune. It reminds me of Eorzea. Well now, if it isn't a traveller, you're a rare sight in these unsettled times. People have been giving us a wide berth since that accursed tower suddenly appeared on Thavnair. If it just stood there and loomed ominously, perhaps things would be fine after a fashion, but no, it had to spawn fell fiends as well. We still have our lives thanks to the Radiant host, but business is as good as dead. What will become of us? Only the gods know. So as expected, people is afraid of the tower. Gazing out from the pier, you spy boats moored off nearby isles, with the silhouettes of larger seafaring vessels farther away. Compared to other ports you have visited in the past, there appears to be very little activity. What am I doing? Oh, recording my sales. I still do it daily out of habit, though I don't know why bother. Hardly sell anything these days. Business has never been this terrible, but I suppose things could be even worse. I could have a consortium to make afloat, like Khalsal. I don't envy his position. Better to be alone with my little operation, I've come to realize. But you're a traveller by the looks of you. If you have a moment, perhaps you could pay Khalsal a visit. He would be glad for tidings from abroad. Like as not, you'll find him at the Salt Wind Sails, the harbour guild building across the water from here. And what do you expect me to do? Khalsal. The Dalmaskans aren't coming, but we already have everything they ordered. What are we supposed to do with it? Dalmaskans? I don't know, but yelling at me isn't going to help. All I know is that their plans have changed, and that's that. Look, you must have known this might happen. The Empire is at war with itself, and the provinces are in chaos. And then there's the tower sitting on our doorstep spitting out monstrosities. The city has its defenses, but we have been afforded no protection out here. We can't blame foreigners for not wanting to take the risk. Ah, but this will be an enormous loss. Alright, forget about the Dalmaskans. Surely some ships are still coming. We have fresh produce, handicrafts, medicines, all the perennial Hannish favorites. Our consortium works closely with merchants and artisans to supply only the finest wares. Quality is guaranteed. I know all these things, Khalsal, I do. Which is why I regret to say I have nothing for you. All voyages have been cancelled or indefinitely postponed. And you are? Wait, you're a foreigner, are you not? A merchant? Please tell me you're a merchant. No. I see. That's a shame. I'm sorry, but we're discussing important matters. If you need something, please talk to one of the others. Excuse me. My name is Matzia, and I'm here to see Khalsal. Oh, it seems he's busy. I'll come back later then. Matzia. Yes, can I help you? Ah, I remember seeing you back in the guild. You wanted to speak with Khalsal too, did you? I'm Matzia, a fisherman of Akyaali. a nearby village. I sell my catch to Kalsal, who offers it to foreign merchants, but he hasn't bought anything for a while now. When I heard that the consortium had been struggling, I became worried and decided to come and see him. Just as soon as he's free anyway. He's a hard-working man, and I dare not disturb him. If I may ask, what is it that you do? An adventurer, you say? And you travel the world, helping people? Then that must mean you're great dealing with strangers. Please, won't you teach me to be like you? You see, I have brought some fresh fish with me, the portion I couldn't preserve, and I want to sell them. The problem is, I'm terrible with people. I have ever only dealt with Kalsal, and I can't talk to customers without getting my trunk in a twist. So please, as silly as it might sound, will you not peddle the fish in my stead, and show me how it's done? I gotta sell fish now. If you're willing, please let me know, and we can begin at once. The events to follow cannot be skipped. You may wish to cancel any pending duty finder registrations. Oh. Okay. You'll do it then. You show me how to deal with customers. I'm in your debt. Right, please try peddling my fish to, shall we say, 3 people here in Yedlihmad. I will observe you and learn. Matsya is now accompanying you, keeping him at your side in order to proceed with quest objectives. You can leave Matsya behind, blah 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 blah. Okay. Makes a noise, da 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 da. Yes. Fish, I've got fish here. Fresh fish. Straight from the seas, bosom to your mouth. Greetings, friend. How fare you of late? Greetings to you too. I suppose I'm well enough, given the circumstance. Things have settled down somewhat, but it was utter chaos when that tower first appeared. Everyone grabbing whatever they could, trampling over each other to get to the city. Many remain there for now, but I could not stay away. Had to come back, continue with my life, such as it is. Whether or not it was the right choice, only time will tell. Well, I make sure to keep well clear of the tower, and when more monsters emerge from it, I heed the Radiant Host's instructions. No place safer than the city, of course, but if everyone up and left, what would happen to Yedlihmad? Dangerous though it may be, I'll keep doing what I've always done, and to the extent I can. What do you do for a living, if you don't mind me asking? Well now, a fishmonger. Do you have your goods with you? If so, I would like to buy some. Like me, you're doing your part to keep things normal. I respect that. Thank you for your custom. The catch of the day is Shadow's cod, delectable stewed in coconut milk, or baked with a sprinkle of salt. You succeeded in making a sale. Okay, where's the next person we need to talk to? A hawker, are you? Do you sell fruit by chance? If so, I want to buy some amra, let's say a dozen. They don't need to be export quality. Why, for eating of course. It may seem like a lot, but of late I go through that much in no time at all. I'm a stock trader by trade, but with no vessels coming these days, the wares are beginning to pile up. By the same token, nothing is coming in from overseas, but not a day goes by that someone doesn't come asking when the next shipment is arriving for this and that and this and that. All of it wears me down, and I find myself feeling constantly hungry. I know how you feel. Thank you. A pity you don't sell fruit, but I enjoyed our little chat. It took my mind off my troubles for a moment. Oh. Never mind, if nothing else, you left her with a positive impression. Let's move on to the north side of town, shall we? No, I failed the sale, but it was being nice. What is it? If you don't mind, I'm rather busy. Oh gods, my stomach. Either sickness? No, nothing so unusual. I'm in my hurry to get back to work, I just ate a little too quickly. Slowly and savor your food. Would that I could, but I can't afford to be idle. Like as not, circumstances will surely get worse before they get better. And so I'm working as hard as I can while I still can, to better to be prepared. How do you intend to prepare? By stockpiling supplies. For that, I need to earn coins so I can buy food, medicine, what have you. How about some fish for your supplies? They're fresh caught. Well, fish wouldn't be bad, but I don't want to go through the hassle of preserving them myself. I'd rather buy stuff that's ready to store. So I'm afraid I'll have to pass on your fish. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must be getting back to work. No. Damn. Too bad we couldn't make a sale, but we did manage to build something of a relationship. Thank you so much for your demonstration. It was truly eye-opening experience. Come, let us return to the pier. Oh, I didn't make a sale. Thank you so much for showing me how to talk to customers. You managed to sell to one of the 3 people you approached. It was difficult, but when you put your mind to it, you succeeded. Though you did fail too. But there are lessons to be learned in both success and failure. By applying yours, I'll endeavor to become a better peddler. Still, there's only so much I can do alone. I hope that things will return to normal for Khalsal soon. I thought I heard a familiar voice, and who should it be but Matsya? Khalsal, have you finished your business at the guild? So you were there too. Forgive me. Try as I might, I can't find any buyers. With no ships coming in and hardly any going out, there simply aren't any options at this rate. So you can't buy my fish anymore? I'm sorry, Matsya, I truly am. But for now, you must peddle your own goods. But by myself, I can't. I want to help you, I do, but as it stands, I can barely help myself. I have poured my all into the consortium, and I'll be damned if I let it fall apart. I have friends and families depending on me, and I won't fail them. The sisters as my witness. Khalsal. Not to worry. Using what I have learned from you, I'm sure I'll manage, somehow. Well, I had best return to my village. My thanks again, and please take care of the road. There you are. Gotten over the ether sickness, have you? Mayhap only owing to the island's small size, the tower's impact upon the people's lives doth appear more pronounced here than in Eosia. I have seen you've been busy. Managed to learn a tidbit or two, I trust? I see. We also heard that the tower is affecting many locals' livelihoods, but to think that it would be to such an extent. Or another notable, if not wholly unexpected, discovery, disappearances and kidnappings are disturbingly commonplace. As before, the culprits are almost certainly tempered Imperial soldiers. And as before, they mean to use the faith of their hapless thralls to call forth a lunar primal. Business as usual for the Telophoroi. House of Divinities. The Matsya fellow you were helping. He's Arkasodara, is he not? Apparently, it is almost exclusively his people that are being kidnapped. Should he be traveling alone? If summoning is this perpetrator's aim, it doth stand to reason that Arkasodara would be the primary target. For 'tis the fate of their ancestors which prevaileth in this land, and many are devout adherents still. We had better go after him. Akyaali lies to the west, as I recall. The same direction as Skrall's acquaintance, incidentally. It's settled then. Keep your eyes peeled while we make for the village. You do not see Matsya nearby, but the elevated ground up ahead may provide a better vantage point. You do not see Matsya from here either. No, leave me alone. Help, somebody help. Matsya's voice, it came from the north. Tempered Imperials, huh? Oh, Matsya. Hello. Huh? Where did they go? Why are you here? I see you found him in time. You and your friends came to look for me? I don't know how to thank you. On my way home, I took a moment to stop and rest, think about what to do about, well, everything. And then those men came. Kidnappers. We had heard that the Arkasodara were being targeted. Surely you have as well? Perhaps it's best if you took refuge in the city. We have considered it, me and the others, but fishing is all we know, the ocean all we have. I see. That's your decision to make, but you should take care not to travel alone. A question, if I may. 'Tis our understanding that strange beings have emerged from the tower. What canst thou tell us of these beings? Not much, I'm afraid. I have no idea what they are. But I have heard that some bear an unsettling resemblance to our divinities. The primal. For that reason, some have taken to calling the tower Sot. Oh, House of Divinities is in the old tongue, it means. But they're not true divinities. They're monstrous imitations that bring only death. To have one's faith so twisted is a grievous indignity, and full justified art thou in thine outrage. Know that this for no other purpose but to neutralize the tower that we have journeyed to this land. In time we may be forced to contend with these false gods, and thus we would learn all we may about them. Wilt thou not tell us of thy divinities and their true nature? You have come all this way to save us? Really? To think I had you peddling fish. But to answer your question, yes, of course, we would gladly tell you about our gods. We, I say, because I'm a terrible storyteller, and I will ask my fellow villagers to do it. So please, come to our village. We're good, God-fearing folk, all of us, and we would be honored to share our knowledge. And fish. What sayest thou? Shall we pay a visit to Akyaali? Wonderful. Just follow the road west and down the hill. You can't miss it. So this is the simulacra of Thavnairian gods that are being summoned. If any doubt existed before, there can be none now. The kidnapped Hanish are imprisoned in the tower. I pray that we will be able to save them. Though indeed, saving them will mean confronting their false gods, like as not. Aye, as you said, we would do well to study their religious traditions. To Akyaali. Familiar though I am with the myths and legends of this land, to hear them spoken by heirs to this storied heritage giveth them new life. Sure, I can catch a few fish if I take the boat out, but I've got nowhere to sell them, and even though I do what I can to preserve them, all they end up doing is filling my storehouse instead of filling my pockets. A charming little village. Shame about the hideous tower. Welcome to Akyaali, my friend. The name means White Beach, and there isn't much here save that, but please make yourself at home. Your companions have already begun talking to everyone. Feel free to show yourself around and do the same. Any one of us can tell you about our gods, but you could do worse than to start with Kanga and old Hasveda. They're free at the moment, as it happens. You wish to know about our gods? What a curious visitor you are. Most want fish. In any case, I'm happy to oblige. Now, I don't know how it is whence you hail, but our isle is home to many gods. They can be divided into two groups. The Manusya, beings of wisdom who assume the form of men, and the Mrga, beings of might who assume the form of beasts. Okay, Manusya, and Mrga. Together they are divinities, their forms and personalities many and varied. Some are kind and gentle, others stern and temperamental, just like we mortals can be. All are possessed of great insight and experience, and by heeding their teachings we strive to be better people and live better lives. Interested in learning about our gods, you say? That's what I like to hear. Prick your ears then, and listen. In ancient times, the Manusya and the Mrga, deities who look like men and beasts respectively, were locked in conflict. Eventually, seeking the wisdom of the Manusya, The Murga cast aside their own heads and took up those of their foes. Likewise, the Manusya coveted the might of the Murga, and so they too resolved to trade heads. Thus were born new gods possessed of both might and wisdom, and they ushered in an age of harmony between the two factions. From then on, as a sign of their esteem for one another, the Manusya have worn animal faces, and the Murga the limbs of men. There you are. Learned a thing or two about our gods, I trust? While you were off talking to the others, I remembered something that may be of interest. If you could let your friends know, I'll go and fetch it from my home at once. Apologies for the wait. I wish to show you this hanging scroll which depicts 3 of our most revered deities. By all means, we should like to see it. They are Manusya. You heard about them already, yes? 3 sisters. The center one is the eldest, Sinduruva, a goddess of wisdom. For this, alchemists hold her in the highest. To her right is the middle sister, Sanduruva. As a goddess of wealth, she counts many traders among her followers. And on the left is Minduruva, the youngest sibling. She presides over the crafts and so is beloved by weavers. Although each is worshipped for different reasons, the sisters are usually portrayed together in these works, which people keep in their homes for good fortune. Sandy Cindy Mindy. In like fashion to the Manusya, the deities of Eosia preside over myriad aspects of life. And what of the Murga, if I may ask? The Murga hold power over nature. In ages past, they were revered as guardian deities in times of conflict. If you have occasion to visit our temples and ruins, you'll find their images there. Among them is a god who possesses a Gaja's head, and he is venerated as the progenitor of the Arkasudara. And then there are dragons. They occupy a special place in our history. You worship dragons too? It is said that an ancestor of the satrap, that's the ruler of the Radz-at-han, forged a covenant with the dragon divinity in ancient times. This divinity has since acted as the guardian deity of the satrap. Legend holds that if ever the satrap is in need, his dragon ally will fly to his aid. Dragon ally? You claim to be a terrible storyteller, but nothing could be further from the truth. The passion you bear for your faith is plain to hear. I am confident that the information you have given us will serve us well in our efforts to deal with the tower. That is very kind of you to say. Thank you. I will pray for your success. Right. I believe it's time we sought out Kryle's acquaintance, an alchemist by the name of Nirana. According to Kryle's notes, we're to find her at a place called the Great Work, further north along the coast. Did you say you're going to see Nitahana? Oh, how I envy you. She's brilliant and beautiful, kind and understanding. And did I say she's beautiful? I could stare at her dainty ears and adorable trunk all day, and those eyes. When you meet her, take care you don't drown in them. Oh, an aetheryte. Excuse me. Excuse me. Thank you. Okay, now let's... Are these players? No. People? Dead people? If there was a battle, there's a conspicuous lack of blood. In such manner did we find them. What could have befallen these people? What in the world? An alchemist. Oh, she's alive.
What happened here?
Their dress marks them as alchemists. I see no evidence of injury or poison.
Thinkest thou they but slumber?
I believe so. Whether it is by choice is another question entirely.
Oh, we have guests. You must excuse the poor welcome. Long days and longer nights have taken their toll, as you can see. I am Varshahn, servant to the satrap. My task was, in fact, to wake these good men and women, if you will allow.
Okay, so this boy comes, oddly fixates on Stinian's weapon, a dragoon, and it was said that the satrap was protected by a dragon. Interesting.
People of the great work, I come bearing new scales.
Scales? We have new scales?
Yes, my friends. Gather round. I have them right here.
Oh, happy day. Now I can continue my experiment.
Many thanks.
Those are dragon scales.
Yep.
Yes, such materials are vital to their most pressing research.
And we are fortunate to have them. Our experiments are so close to bearing fruit. Soon we will have a talisman capable of nullifying the etheric emissions from that accursed tower. Did I say something wrong? Are you not here with Varshahn? Wait, who are you people? Of course! You're the one Kryl sent. The warrior of light we've been waiting for.
Oh, this is a day of celebration. Praise be to Cinderova!
The winds have shifted. I feel it. The end to our toil is near.
I feel it too. My head hasn't been this clear in days.
Tell me, how did you acquire those scales?
Curious that it concerns you so. But worry not. They were freely given by the dragon with whom our satrap has forged a lawful pact.
That must be Vitra.
That as well.
You must be quite familiar with Dragon King, yes?
You can bet they're gonna use it for Hildebrand.
Is this their congealed blood I see on your weapon?
King of Dragon Blood, you yourself have been infused with it, have you not? A file or two, if so. Now, see here. Come along, come along. I must insist that you visit our laboratory. Cease your shouting, so help me.
Respect.
Oh dear, your poor companion. What with the new scales and your timely arrival, my colleagues are a little giddy with excitement. No harm will come to him, I promise. Meanwhile, shall we find a quiet place to talk? As you may have guessed, I am Nidana, the alchemist who sent the request to your mistress Kryl. We have workshops across the nation collaborating on this research project. But it is here, at the Great Work, where I collate our results. Come with me, all of you, and I can explain the crux of the situation.
Where's Stinian? Where's Stinian? Oh, for the days when I enjoyed such fervent adoration. But on this occasion I am glad to entrust the burden of popularity to Estinian. It is said that shellfish is ideal for those who have suffered bloodlust. Mayhap we should have acquired some from Matsya. Pray pay me no mind, I am here that I may be of service, nothing more. Allow me to thank you for answering our call. Many towers have appeared around the world, and we are grateful that you would assist us with ours. Though Kyle herself is tied up with another investigation, Sagasite is an eminently capable substitute, and we will spare no effort to aid you. So, if I understand correctly, you seek to make talismans that can nullify etheric emissions. Indeed we do. As you know, the tower emits vast concentrations of ether. One cannot go anywhere near it without being tempered. As such, we can only study the tower from afar, and are powerless to deal with it in any consequential way. In order to strike back, the Satrap Beta's alchemists create enchanted talismans, talismans that will allow our soldiers to venture into the tower, even should they lack innate protection. Could such a thing be possible? Admittedly, we are still in the midst of testing, but we are quite confident. Even prior to this, our people have long pursued countermeasures against the etheric corruption of primals. Of the methods tested to date, those utilizing dragon scales prove the most promising. Owing to their etheric density, the scales are highly resistant to disruptive forces. The mightier the dragon, the greater the resistance. We seek to amplify this protective property through our alchemy. Thanks to the scales provided by His Excellency, we have been able to make steady progress with the talisman. Soon we will be ready to conduct a field test, and here is where you and your blessing of light come in. Whatever it is, just leave it to me. What exactly it is you need me to do, better than having my blood drawn, I suppose. What do you need me to do? Nothing complicated, I assure you. We ask only that you serve as an escort. I will explain in greater detail later, but you will be venturing into the tower's field of influence. And so, for your own safety, I would first test how well your blessing shields you. With your permission, of course. In that case, Urianger and I will find other ways to make ourselves useful. Seeing as you all work to the point of collapse, I suspect you could do with more hands. We would be grateful for any assistance you can provide. If you are ready, then let us put your blessings to the proof. If you exit the Great Work and turn south, there will be a hill to the right. I will meet you at the top after seeing some preparations. Good luck with the test. I shall remain here to assist the other alchemists. Drunken Deepa. You see a lantern designed in the local style. I hope you didn't have trouble finding this place, or climbing the hill. Not all are accustomed to the physical strain. I give you the fruit of our sweat, tears, and many a sleepless night. The Drunken Deepa. A Deepa is a lantern presented to the gods as an offering. Taking inspiration from the tradition, we created this device to test the talisman's efficacy. Upon activation, it will move a certain distance before emitting a powerful blast of ether. In lieu of corruption, those lacking sufficient protection will experience severe ether sickness. For your test, you will be exposed 4 times. That should be enough to ascertain your blessing's protective capability. Please begin whenever you're ready. I shall be observing from a safe distance. It's live. Commencing etheric exposure testing. Repeat. Commencing etheric exposure testing. Retreat to a safe distance if you are not the subject. Follow the Drunken Deepa's lead and try not to fall behind. Ready ether, please stand back. You are struck by a powerful blast of ether, but suffer no ill effects. Subject has no irrepressible urge to empty their stomach? Confirmed. Resuming test, please follow. You're struck by another powerful blast of ether, but suffer no ill effects. Subject's stomach and bowel integrity holding? Confirmed. Resuming test, please follow. You are struck by yet another powerful blast of ether, but suffer no ill effect. The blessing of light appears to be keeping you safe from harm. Subject fortitude rather impressive. No irregularities confirmed. Resuming tests. Please follow and brace for a final discharge. You are struck by the strongest blast of ether yet, but survive completely unscathed. Etheric exposure testing concluded. Please collect and deliver me to the supervising alchemist. Congratulations on retaining your composure and your humors. Ah, you have returned, and not on your knees. A promising sign. But come, let me take the Deepa of your hands. Having exhausted all of its ether, the drunken Deepa is now having a well-earned rest. Thank you, I shall replenish its ether for when we test the talisman. So, no dizziness or nausea or anything of the sort? You're feeling perfectly fine? Then the strength of your blessing is beyond doubt. There is no risk that the tower will corrupt your ether. With this, we can request your aid for the task ahead with easy hearts. You're a capable warrior too, are you not? Would you be amenable to assisting me with another errand? You see, our talisman requires the use of a special ink, but we have exhausted our stores of a key ingredient for it, spirit weed. The herb grows not far from here and I would like to go and harvest some. With the recent spate of kidnappings, however, we Arkasodara travel alone at our peril. Will you not come with me as my escort? I would compensate you for your troubles, of course. I'm in your debt. Without further ado, let us skip to Kadhaya's footsteps. It is situated on the road which runs east of the Great Work. I may be simply imagining it, but I feel as though we're being followed. Look out! Gods, but that gave me a fright. To think that the moment I ventured outside the safety of the work. Thank the sisters I asked you to come with me. You're alright, I hope? Good, good. Let's continue on, then. It isn't far now, just through these pillars and up the rise. What the hell is that? Pisaka. And here we are, Kadhaya's footsteps. Kadhaya was a great dancer, and those who following her, well, you know, they come to this place to train and dedicate their dance to their ancestors. A happy benefit of this is that the spirit weed grows here in abundance. I will set about harvesting at once, if you would be so good as to stand guard. The kidnappers are unlikely to return soon, but better safe than sorry. Dancers, pretty good. This place looks pretty gay. Pretty good, pretty good. I'll gather the herb as quickly as I can. Please stand guard for me.
Yes, that would be Radz-at-han. Hardly anyone has been allowed in or out since our troubles with the tower began. The faithful citizens huddle inside the city walls, and commerce has all but ground to a standstill. I pity the satrap, the trials he must be facing.
Fog doesn't help. What can you tell me of the satrap?
Well, he is the most important person in Radz-at-han. Long ago, this island was home to two tribes of Matanga, the Gajasura and the Arkasodra. When the Aura came to these shores, it was the Arkasodra with whom they joined forces. Together they defeated the warlike Gajasura, forcing them to flee Thavnair altogether. Peace and prosperity reigned for a time, until a clan of Hjord from the mainland decided they wanted the island for themselves. It was a direct ancestor of the present satrap who arbitrated that conflict and welded the warring factions into the nation we know today. And ever since, a member of that esteemed lineage has inherited this somewhat unique position. You see, by and large, the state is run by the people, but when problems arise, it is the satrap who mediates a solution. The stability provided by the satrap is what has allowed Radz-at-han to thrive all these years. And it was the satrap himself who entrusted us with this duty. We will not fail him, nor our countrymen.
What is the delay with the vessel? I told you I need to adjust those ratios.
Oh, there's Fandaniel. First time we see him.
I come all this way to admire one of my splendid towers, and what do I find? Fools attempting to ward off its tempering influence with magic trinkets. I seem to recall a similar experiment in ages past. What was that man's name? Oh, something. Owen?
Don't remember that name being mentioned before.
Another body, another time. Who could be expected to remember every trivial detail?
Allowing them to construct such handy talismans would be counterproductive to my plans.
What just happened?
And yet, I find myself deathly curious. How will they manage this feat with the limited knowledge and resources at their disposal?
Is that Fandaniel's voice?
Complications be damned, for we cannot escape the nature of our souls. And I, as ever, am my own worst enemy.
Wait, Fandaniel? Two people? I mean, his body is of Asahi, but I have enough spirit wheat to last us a good while. Thank you for keeping watch. Let us head back to the great work, shall we? Sagasite, my thanks again for your assistance. With your help, we are that little bit closer to completing our talisman. This isn't much, but please accept it as a token of my gratitude. A boy's errand. Little does Hannah know that she's about to send you on another errand. If you will excuse me, I shall return to my work on the talisman. Ah, you're both back. Excellent. I have a message for you, Mistress Hannah. It would seem the stores of Giant's Gold are running low. What? But when I last looked, there was still plenty. I suspect that was before Urianger told everyone about the tempering cure, and Stenian shared his knowledge for dragons. Your peers have since been inspired to fashion a number of new talisman prototypes. I see. Well, if it leads to new possibilities, then far be it from me to complain. But we will need to replenish our stores. I should be happy to tend to this if you like. As much as I appreciate the offer, my dear boy, I can't in good conscience send you out there alone while kidnappers are at large. Sagasite, loath though I am to press another task on you so soon, might I ask you to fetch the Giant's Gall? In case you're not familiar, Giant's Gall is a type of ore found on the island. Owing to its hardness and ethereal conductivity, it has applications in many disciplines, alchemy not least of all. The quarry where it's found, aptly named Giant's Gall Grounds, isn't far away, so it shouldn't take much of your time. Maybe impose on you once more. Thank you. Upon arriving at the grounds, please seek out a man named Seinuha. He will furnish you with the ore. At the very least, permit me to accompany you. It so happens I have an errand of my own that will take me to the outpost nearby. Maybe borrow a pair of Hamsa, Mistress Nidana. By all means, do try to be patient with them. Those that survived are still in training. I will bring the Hamsa to the entrance. Meet me there when you are ready. Here are our Hamsa Sagasite. If the creatures look familiar, it is because they are close kin to your Eorzean dodos. Hamsa have long been kept as livestock in Thavnair, and many a hatchery may be found here. Alas, the largest of these was recently raised by monsters from the tower. On account of said hatchery being situated near the tower, the Radiant host repurposed its remnants as an outpost. That is where my errand takes me, and your own destination is but a stone's throw away. If you have no objections, let us first make for the outpost. We set forth at your word. You are ready? Then let us depart. You need only ride and relax. My bird and I will take the lead for yours to follow. Ooh, what the hell? Let us be off. If you haven't ridden dodos before, be warned that they have a wobbling gait. What the f***? This is... Oh, the spectacular formation stretching out over the water is called Khadga. The sword letting holds was wielded by Manusia against the Murga before it was cast down in conflict's end. To the left and requiring no introduction is the tower. As you can see, it straddles a small isle. Almost there, though the main part of the hatchery is atop the cliff, the outpost itself is on the beach. It's freaky. The tower. And here we are. Manned by the Radiant host, this outpost is our first line of defense against the tower. Well, well, who should it be but young Varshahn? On an errand for the satrap? I am. His Excellency bade me come to collect your report. He also wished to express his heartfelt gratitude to the brave men and women of the Radiant host for their unflagging dedication. We simply do our duty, but we are honored to receive His Excellency's regard. And yet, for his boundless benevolence, his treatment of one so young could be regarded as callous. Though we have enjoyed relative peace and calm these past few days, this remains the front line of battle, no place for children. Your predecessor too often traveled alone. It's been, what, 2 years now since you took over? I wonder how the fellow is faring. Like those before him, he went on to represent the satrap in foreign lands. Wherever he may now be, I am certain he is well. As for myself, I assure you that all I do of my own volition, and gladly. I pray you do not think ill of His Excellency. Certainly not, lad. Whatever happens, my faith in the satrap is unwavering. But still, I worry for you. We would be overcome with sadness if something were to befall you, for you are as little brother to us all. Take care, do you hear? I will, Nafdeen. Thank you. And who might this be? Not Hanish, by the look of her? Permit me to introduce Sagasite Luxalui, of the Eorzean contingent, come to assist me in the making of the Talisman. From Eorzea, you say? Towers have appeared over there too, yes? Tell me, what is the situation like? May I suggest that you exchange information with our soldiers? Both parties would stand to learn something of value, I believe. An excellent idea. Given the unprecedented nature of the threat, some of ours are understandably anxious. We would be glad for any tidings you can share. You too. Bring Varshahn the latest report, and answer any questions he may have. Ah, I've heard about you, the visitor from Eorzea. Is there anything you can tell us about the Telvoroi? We know that they're the ones behind the tower, and that they have declared war on the whole world. But why are they doing this? What is it that they want? This we don't understand. What? They want to die and take everyone with them? What madness is this? Well, you can bet that we won't let those bastards have their way. We'll fight them with everything we have, like our Eorzean and Far Eastern brothers. It occurs to me I have yet to properly introduce our company. We are the Radiant Host, a military order under the Satrap's command. Our duty is to preserve peace in the land, be it patrolling the streets or dealing with heretofore unknown threats such as now. We train hard and admit only capable warriors to our ranks. Even so, we have struggled to contend with the fiends from the tower. Though we succeeded in striking them down on the 2 occasions they came in force, they had to pay a heavy price. What of the towers in Eorzea? Do they likewise spawn monsters? So it's much the same everywhere. With every nation struggling, we cannot expect calls from outside aid to be answered. You wish to know about the tower? To be honest, we know little and less about it ourselves. This Tower of Sot, as folk had taken to calling it, suddenly appeared where it did on the Isle of Thavnair. We're safe from its influence at this distance, but go too far into the water and you'll expose yourself to its corrupting ether. You're a foreigner, aren't you? How are they dealing with the tower in your homeland? Our struggles are not unique, then our hopes still lie with the talismans. We must keep the monsters contained until we and they are ready. Finished speaking with the soldiers, have you? I hope it was enlightening for you as it was for them. As a neutral nation and trading hub both, Radz-at-han ordinarily receives a steady stream of news from abroad. Alas, this stream dried up when trading vessels stopped coming. Amidst the dearth of information, everyone will have been grateful for your account. But come, you had best see to your original errand, as mine will keep me here a while longer. However, I'm afraid they cannot guide you for the rest of the way. Worry not, the path is straightforward. You need but follow the road east. Upon the Hamsa you will arrive before you know it. Brief though it was, I enjoyed our time together. Till we meet again. The last monster that came out of the tower laid waste to the hatchery, slaughtering many good Hamsa. The poor creatures didn't deserve it. Oh, I can write it. Is it me or is this mount slow? Wait, I had to get there in the Hamsa? I hope not. Okay, I'll ride the Hamsa. Oh, this is so weird. I mean, it's fun. Riding animation is weird. No sooner do you arrive at your destination than the Hamsa dashes off. Aye, this is indeed the Giant Skull grounds, and I am Seinuha. Is there something you require? Giant Skull for the alchemist, to say. But of course, they shall have it. They labor tirelessly to deal with the tower, and this is the least we can do to provide them with the materials we need. Here you are, a sack of the purest Giant Skull. We have always set some aside for our alchemist friends. When you deliver it, let the good folk of the great work know that we are grateful for their efforts. If they need more, they need but ask. Ah, welcome back, Sagasite. There I hope you have the Giant Skull. Oh my, such fine specimens. Thank you for bringing this. We now have everything we need to make our next prototype, one that should be capable of passing our most rigorous tests. When it is ready, it will be time for the true test, so please take your ease while you can.
I see our taskmasters have allowed you a moment's respite as well. You have to hand it to these alchemists. They are determined to see this endeavor of theirs succeed. I've never been one for blind optimism, but I sincerely get the sense they're close to a breakthrough.
They had better be, or all this effort was for naught.
The peoples of Eorzea, of the Far East, of Thavnair. Children of this star united in common cause against a dire threat. Yet ere they succumbed to suicidal madness, were not the Telophoroi born of her body as were we? They who cling to life and the promise of the morrow's dawn, against they who desire death and an ending of their own orchestration. The victors of this war alone will hold the right to answer the question of existence, of its meaning, and its worth.
Poetic and ominous to a fault. That said, if it's an existential debate in nature, then our arguments might not be as persuasive as you'd think. Fandaniel wants to die and take everyone with him in an orgy of pain and suffering. An utterly vile and unforgivable idea. And yet, when spat upon by fate and wailing in the deepest pit of despair, who among us can say they have not entertained similar thoughts? There are nights black as pitch, bereft of hope, and no words of comfort can reach you. And it's all you can do to grit your teeth and choke back the bile.
The more you see and suffer life's injustices, the more difficult they become to bear. Vengeance is nurtured in similar soil. Though your anger has a broader focus, the sentiment is much the same. A fervent desire to destroy others, to see them drown in torment, as you have.
That about sums it up. The will to endure is not always as strong as the urge to burn it all down and salt the earth. Survival be damned. It's a struggle, often close and brutal.
Indeed. Well, I, for one, shall pray survival proveth more appealing in the end.
As will I. Besides, our chances are much improved when we've the company of others committed to the cause of life. Our vengeful dragoon here is proof of that. What is it? What did you see? Fandaniel, are you sure? If he knows we've been working on a countermeasure.
It holds. The vessel holds! This is the one!
At long last! Look! We have finally created a talisman strong enough to withstand our experiments! We've named it a warding scale for the time being. With this in your possession, your soul should be completely shielded from corruptive ether.
Afforded such protection, any one of us may approach the towers without fear. Thou hast mine admiration. 'Tis an invention of historical significance.
I thank you for your kind words. But I would prefer you keep them unsaid until we test the talisman's efficacy in the field. It is for the next stage of our plan that we summoned you in the first place, to accompany me to the Tower of Zot. Should the scale prove effective, as I very much hope it will, then you'll have little to do. But should the effect be weaker than anticipated, I must ask that you restrain me, or knock me senseless.
Let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Either way, we are fortunate to have you with us.
Nidana, are you certain you wish to do this?
If others are to trust our creations, then we must have faith in them first. And as the senior researcher, it falls to me to lead by example. But should I fail to return, then learn what you can from this attempt and apply it to the next. Our work must continue. Is that clear?
We'll keep an eye on the place while you're away. Assuming Fandaniel is lurking about, there's no telling what mischief he has in mind for us, or you. Be on your guard.
Shall we be on our way? I'll have one of the soldiers at the hatchery prepare us a boat, and we can set out from the northern shore. I'll see you there.
The satrap has granted you the use of this boat. May it serve you well. This is a rather finer boat than I had expected, but I won't complain. All that remains is to board and be on our way. Oh, and if I should become corrupted, do not stay your hand. Of course, I pray it does not come to that, but you must protect yourself. Other alchemists can't fulfill my role, but you and your blessing are one of a kind, and perhaps our only hope for toppling this tower. For all our sakes, do not hesitate to do what must be done, whether that may be. Well, the longer I draw this out, the more nervous I become, so let's be off. Head to the Tower of Salt, yes.
We should soon cross the threshold of the tower's influence. Any moment now. It's working! And you are still yourself? Then I'd like to see how it fares closer to the tower if we could. So far, so good. The scale's protection appears to be holding. If we can just make it to the tower's entrance. A few more steps. Praise be to the sisters, we made it! And the scale has proven itself to be everything we hoped it would be. Now we can focus on production. Once we've equipped and returned with an entire survey team, this menace will soon give up its secrets.
Something bad's gonna happen, I just know it. Wow. So many matangas.
Oh, let me go! Oh, let me go!
Oh, do calm down. You'll only hurt yourself thrashing about like that.
Stop! No, you can't do this! Please!
Oh.
A little late for heroics, I'm afraid. The similarities are striking.
Similarities to what?
My! Such hostility! Never before has my artistry so displeased. My patrons of old would have positively squealed in delight, though, between you and me, I find gushing praise exhausting.
Patrons of old. Yeah, that's exactly my question. Patrons of old. What are you talking about?
Allow me to tell you a story. Surely you've yet to hear the one about Fandaniel, the Sundered Ascian.
Sundered Ascian?
I inherited the position and the soul of the Fandaniel who sat on the convocation in the time of the final days, theoretically speaking. Practically speaking, that fact is of no consequence. I was born and lived as, well, me. Eventually, I was recruited into the Ascians and imbued with the former Fandaniel's knowledge and memories, but I never felt that they were truly a part of who I am. How to explain? Perhaps if I told you who I was before my Ascian embrace, although that chapter too is a past I've long since discarded. I have it on good authority you've poked your nose into an Allegan ruin or two, yes? Then I expect you've heard of me. The old me.
Oh boy, here we go.
At your service.
The guy from the Crystal Tower.
Imagine a nation of unbridled prosperity. Every need met, day after day of unbroken, unshakable peace. Existence fulfilled and ripe for decay.
You are a genius without peer, Amon. However do you conceive of such delightful experiments? That fool was beside himself with panic when he awoke with the head of a bull. Even his cries for help emerged as so much guttural lowing. Oh, the memory of it. My poor sides. My friends and I were so consumed by laughter we struggled to breathe.
No more than entertainment for bored wastrels ignorant of its worth. My all-consuming work. But it was not their only indulgence. For they were ever hungry for stimulation, slaves to the slightest hint that amusement was afoot. Our nation was ailing, but I would see the poison purged. I resurrected a legend, our first and greatest emperor. And just as I had planned, he set our wayward empire back on the path of conquest. An inexhaustible ambition carried us onwards, always onwards. Yet, he who delivered to us such glory was not to be satisfied.
Heed me, Armon. No matter how vast one's empire, or full one's treasure vault, all is rendered meaningless by death. In the end, all is lost.
You know as well as I that the Emperor stands to lose this war, and so I have come to claim you. For while your methods leave something to be desired, we cannot deny the results of your work.
So Emmet, in the times of the Allegans, woke Amon into an Ascian.
And as fortune would have it, the seat of Fandaniel, your rightful seat, lies vacant and waiting. Take your place amongst your peers, rather than die a pointless death amidst the ashes of your doomed nation. Send one of your clones to the Crystal Tower that you might see for yourself. See what lies ahead.
The fall of the Empire affirmed the truth, majestic and tragic, as the Emperor foresaw. Scheme as you like, build as you will, nothing endures. What is life but a brief jaunt ending in emptiness?
So easily distracted. Why, I almost left without saying farewell. As for your friend, you needn't worry. These pawns are far more useful to me alive as fuel for the primals. If you attempt to pull them free, they will die. So, enjoy tackling that conundrum with your comrades. We shall meet again! Not in one of these minor spires, oh no, but somewhere more suitably grandiose. Your favorite playmate is ever so eager to see.
Okay, just... oh. Okay, so Fandaniel is actually Amon from the Allegans, and what is his ultimate plan? Ah, you are returned, but where is Mistress Nirana? Manusya Preserve, just when we had succeeded in making the talisman. I must report this at once. Meanwhile, please return to the great work. But it's interesting. Emet called him into the seat of Fandaniel. He was Amon from the Allegans, who was a scientist who created the clones and everything. What are his plans? I mean, what's the long game? Something's gone awry, hasn't it? What happened? So it was Fandaniel after all. Damn that bastard. I'm sure you wanted to do more, but you were right to return here first. We must tread warily lest we endanger Nidhana and the other captives. First, we must inform everyone of the situation, Nidhana's colleagues included. I'll call them together for a gathering, but I think it would be best if you were the one to explain. Oh, Nidhana. Can you answer me this? Though Nidhana is trapped in the tower, she is still alive, yes? Yes, she is. Then we must make warding scales, as many as we can. The prototype works perfectly. This Nidhana proved at peril to herself, so let us make more scales, that she and all those who were taken might be saved. I, as alchemist, this is how we will help win the fight. My friends, the satrap has been made aware of the tragedy. He offers his heartfelt condolences and reiterates his pledge to provide you with all that you require. To that end, he bade me give you this link pearl, that he might personally discuss the production of the warding scales with you. And for our Eorzean visitors, I bear an invitation. In her report, Mistress Nidhana noted your vital contributions to the Talisman's creation. This fact came to the satrap's attention, and in recognition of your deeds, he wishes to meet you. In addition to thanking you in person, he would also discuss further avenues of collaboration. And so, if it is agreeable, would you not accompany me to Radz-at-han for an audience with His Excellency? We should be honored, of course. Closer cooperation between our lands can only be to the benefit of all. Then it is settled. Please come to the gates of the Giant Skull grounds, and I will show you into the city. Poor Nidhana. This complicates things. Or let's not say complicates. Let's say makes things interesting, because now we know who Fandaniel actually is. But we don't know what his plans are. But we are made aware of just what kind of person he is, in the sense that we know he's brilliant, a brilliant scientist. Oh, damn it. And to think that the first time that in-game I remember hearing about Radz-at-han was during the relic quest for a realm reborn. When I last visited, the city was brimming with life. I expect the towers dampened the mood somewhat. Be it here or in Eorzea, all shared in the desire to deliver their captives. Thus united, I pray that we may join in common cause with the satrap. Of the satrap, I only know the common tidbits, that though the position is hereditary, he is not considered a sovereign, and that, despite possessing considerable authority, he wields it sparingly. Given the esteem in which the locals hold him, however, it's safe to assume he's good at his job. We could do far worse for an ally. All present? Then let us proceed. Owing to the threat of the tower, the city is currently in a state of high alert, and strict restrictions are in place for entry. Though you have been granted special permission, I ask that you remain close to me at all times.
A vast rock squats upon Thavnair, and to its stony surface clings the city of Radz-at-han. Ye who enter here are subject to the scrutiny of gods, the gate's most watchful eye. The orb which beholdeth the truth of all things. Pass beneath its hot and piercing gaze, bearing down like a second midday sun. The fragrant haze, a mixture of sweet incense and acrid smoke. The cries of merchants mingled here with lively melodies accented by dancers' feet. Travelers seduced by vivid sound and colors were once swallowed up by patchwork streets.
Radz-at-han.
But no such scenes to savor now. To what somber present does that divine eye bear witness?
Here we are, Megaduta. It seems a shame to bring you here directly. Under normal circumstances, it would have been my pleasure to show you the sights.
And it would have been our pleasure to see them. Alas, it seems our tour of the city will have to wait.
I'm afraid so. Come, we should head inside. Your Excellency, may I present our honored visitors?
Ah, splendid. Most splendid.
The satrap.
Allow me to introduce myself. I am Ahwan, satrap of Radz-at-han. Our alchemists tell me your assistance was invaluable in the creation of the warding scale. Such deeds ought to be recognized in person. Thus did I have young Varshahn convey you here forthwith. On behalf of my people, may I express to you our sincere gratitude.
Oh, so he's Varshahn, not Varshahn. Not everything went to plan.
I assume you speak of Nidana. A regrettable incident indeed. Her colleagues insist that we honor her wishes and trust in the Talisman, that it will be instrumental in saving Nidana and the others. I am eager to hear your opinion on the matter, so let us not stand on ceremony. Come, sit.
I think not. This charade has gone on long enough. Show yourself.
Forgive me, but were you expecting musicians, perhaps? There are no performers waiting in the wings at present, but arrangements could be made if you'd prefer.
Nay, he hath the right of it. The time for artifice is past. Raise the curtain. You travel as assistants to the students of Valdesian, but you are known to me. Even here have we heard of the scions of the Seventh Dawn.
Vritra.
I am Vritra.
Vritra.
And for years uncounted has this isle served as mine abode.
Vritra? Of the first brood? Sibling to Hraesvelgr and Nidhogg?
Aye, mine elder brothers. Of Midgard's Sorma's spawn. I was last to hatch.
Well, isn't this a surprise? We were told Radz-at-han had an alliance with a dragon. Not that a great worm sat in the satrap's own hall.
A necessary subterfuge, as the true tale of our nation history illustrates most effectively. In the beginning, the rock upon which our city is built was home to Vitra, and Vitra alone. In time, the ancestors of the Matanga came to the island and established a foothold. But never did they dare disturb the worm's lair. Next to arrive were the Aura. Adopting the example of their Akasodra allies, they too treated Vitra with reverence and respect. And for many years, an understanding between our forefathers and the Great Worm endured. Until marauding heroes from the mainland came, threatening to shatter our peace and tranquility. When it seemed all would be drowned in blood, Vitra himself came forth and quelled the rising conflict. A peaceful accord was reached, and oaths sworn in Vitra's name. Thus began the dragon's governance of the fledgling state, which was to grow into Radz-at-han.
But if Vritra is still here, then your position as satrap is just...
a charade, yes. And one which my family has performed faithfully for generations.
Many envy the great worms their power. Were it known that I ruled here, then the fires of war would burn without end. I would not be the flame which consumeth my people. Those few who join me in laying our country's foundations were, perforce, sworn to secrecy.
Your eye. It was taken.
Oh no.
"'Tis here, buried within the semblance of flesh."
Excuse me? What? This game is crazy, man.
"The body before thee is but a simulacrum, constructed by the finest artisans of Radz-at-han, with mine eye nestled within. It doth serve as an inconspicuous vessel for my will."
I mean, I guessed he wasn't what he meant, was he pretended to be, but I thought he was Vitra, and I was kind of right, but not, I didn't expect this.
Ah, that would explain why I felt the presence of a dragon upon our first meeting.
"I am woven with words fashioned to deceive such arcane senses. Though 'twas short-lived, it seemeth thy fusion with my brother hath left thee much altered, Estinian warmblood." "From the very first, we sensed the nature of one another, yet did neither one of us bare his fangs. That is all I need know of thee for now."
With my secret thus revealed, I have for you a proposal. Not as a worm of the first brood, but as the ruler of Radz-at-han. With all haste must we take in hand the finished talismans and breach this foul spire. Thence, should it lay within Yet even with the assurance of the warding scales, the narrow confines of the tower doth limit the size of our force.
And thus denied strength in numbers, thou must choose thy soldiers with care.
Just so. Yet though our radiant host is formidable, I see a surer path before me. Thou and thy comrades have contended with a multitude of primal beings. Most recently, thou didst cast down false gods in Padalthan and Cartanau, I am told. 'Tis upon that strength I would call. The Scions have proven themselves the most capable, and I ask that you serve as the tip of our spear. Talismans would, of course, be provided for each of thy companions, and should you agree to this undertaking, more will be provided to make use of as you see fit.
There's no denying it's a dangerous proposition, but the rewards may far outweigh the risk. Just think of what we might accomplish if we could equip all our allies with warding scales. I worry, however, that even the four of us may be too few for what you have in mind. Might we regroup with our friends first to discuss the matter?
'Tis no trifling task that I have laid before you. Go. Steel your hearts and hone your plans. Such time as you require shall be spent in crafting your protective charms.
It seems a quick trip back to Sharlayan is in order.
Wilt thou not lend thine aid?
Whether your request be made as a great worm or the ruler of Radz-at-han, I see no reason to refuse, nor will I.
I am in thy debt.
Wow, okay, give me a moment. If our course of action is decided, let's not tarry. That we should encounter one of the first brood in such a circumstance. That meeting took a rather unexpected turn, but we now have a clear objective ahead of us. Let us rejoin our comrades in Sharlayan and muster a suitable crew for a foray into the Tower of Salt. Oh, and if you haven't already done so, be sure to attune to the ether right here before departing. Unless, of course, you enjoy violent nausea. Okay, now we finally bring both quest chains together. It's wonderful how a garment given in love can so easily change one's whole outlook. I remember when I was still coming to terms with my talent in the Echo. Just being wrapped in the robe my grandfather gave me somehow made everything less daunting. Vitra and his alchemist have prepared us for our foray into the tower. What we may accomplish within its twisted holds remained to be seen. The conflict between Nidhogg and I is in the past, and though they were brothers, it has no bearing on my view of Vitra. Above all else, he is a leader of men, not an enemy. He would hardly dedicate his life to this endeavor if he bore our kind any ill will. Just as I was getting used to balmy Thavnair while back in chilly Sharlayan. Take care not to catch your death, eh? We need you for the battles to come. Now then, everyone appears to be here, so let's take stock of all the developments and discoveries.